Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beast back. Adrenaline pumping through my veins. Can't relax. Original.
And welcome to this Tuesday edition of Pucks Across Borders daily NHL betting show live on Total Apex Sports on Twitter and Pucks Across Borders on YouTube. That's right, Andre. Daily. Look at us go. 2 days in a row. Amazing. So good to be here. And as always, we are brought to you by First Round Collectibles right now with our promo code Sports Addict to get 10% off whatever sports card you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off any cards you want, or not any cards you want, but a lot of cards. And with our promo code Sports Addict, not only do you get 10% off of regular price items, but sales items as well. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com today. Use promo code Sports Addict for 10% off your order. That's firstroundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans. Lots to get into. I think 8 games last night. We'll talk about that. 9 games to get to tonight. But first, as always, Andre, how we feeling on a Tuesday, man? Good to see you.
It's good to see you again 2 days in a row. Look at us go.
Proud of us.
Can't complain. I will say, though, UNT Coliseum, I'm not sure if you know what that is, University of North Texas. Their arena, the Super Pit. I love that name. The Super Pit.
Is that new?
I think they changed it, yeah.
The Super Pit.
The Super Pit.
Well, speaking of college, shout out to my fellow Notre Dame plus 8.5 ticket holders. That was sweaty last night, man. And the problem is I never dabble in college football really because I don't know anything about college football. I'll be the first to tell you. But my buddy is a huge Notre Dame fan, and I was like, he's like the only Canadian. I know there are lots of Canadian college football fans, but he's like the only one that I personally know. Like, if you tell me it's like Bigfoot, like it's out there somewhere, but like I've never seen it. If you tell me they exist, then fair enough, but I've never seen one. But my buddy is a huge Notre Dame fan, and so I was like, yeah, I'll sprinkle a little plus 8.5, and boo, that took a while to materialize.
I mean, that field goal at the end must have been brutal, though.
Yeah, well, they got it though. They got the 8.5. It was just
they lost by 11. Did you not see the very end?
No, I missed the very end.
They lost 34-23. Ohio State kicked a field goal with
oh my goodness,
20 seconds left. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So I don't even know. See, this is a problem because I've been on my account. I didn't even notice that the money wasn't even there. I just had it in my head that I had won it. Well, then in that case, my condolences to my fellow plus 8.5 ticket holders. Then. Never mind. It's not as joyful as I thought it would be.
Between that field goal at the end and Notre Dame's missed 20-yard field goal.
Oh my goodness.
I guess it was early in the fourth, but yeah, it was rough.
No, I missed the very end because I figured that's ball game. Like, why would they even have to kick that field goal? But hey, we're not here to talk about football. We will, of course, on Friday's show, we'll do a little bit of NFL gambling picks because it's the playoffs, and why wouldn't we? And, I have no stake in the... Anyway, I'll stop talking about it. Moving on, 8 games last night. We'll quickly go through that. The Bruins beat the Sharks 6-3. That plus 1.5 was looking good for a while, wasn't it? Until Boston pulled away in the third quarter. There's football talk. Third period. The Minnesota Wild plus 188 underdogs, beating the Avalanche 3-1, Kraken beating Buffalo 6-4, Blues beating the Golden Knights 5-4, Maple Leafs beating the Lightning 5-3, Islanders beating the Blue Jackets 3-1. I like, I go back and forth between games, and for whatever reason, I flipped on that game for a little bit at the beginning. That barn is like dead, man. Like, I got a few Islanders fans in my life who live on Long Island, and whenever they go to the games, they always make it seem like it's an absolute party. But that place is a graveyard right now. Just brutal. Hurricanes squeak out a game that probably should have lost 4-3 against the Blackhawks in overtime. Jets getting pumped by Utah Hockey Club 5-2. And my this is what makes gambling so funny, and this is what makes the NHL so great, is the Kings were that -1.5. It ended up being the family play, but if you took the bet that I ended up giving out, then this would have been my favorite play of the night. Like Kings -1.5 all day. And the Pittsburgh Penguins, man, we talked about this yesterday, just never fully quitting on that team, just because, like, who knows what is going to happen with them. They win 5-1. Andre, what do you want to talk about regarding the NHL today? I will say really quickly, just to update, we talked about this yesterday. Connor McDavid and Tyler Myers suspended 3 games each. Really quickly, that should not be the same. If you want to suspend McDavid for 3 games, suspend him for 3 games. I don't care. They should not be getting the same amount of games. Tyler Myers should be getting suspended for more. He's already been suspended this season. He should be getting more games than McDavid. That's my feeling. The 3 games itself, I don't really care about, but the fact that they're both getting the same is stupid to me. But yet again, we have no idea how suspensions in the NHL are going to fall, because doesn't matter how they fell in the past. It doesn't matter. But anyway, Andre, what do you got? What do you want to talk about in the NHL last night?
Now I want to talk about how fan voting is going to determine suspensions in the near future, but I don't think that's really important or relevant or should be celebrated. So we're going to instead talk about how many heavy favorites did not come through yesterday. And I'm not just talking about the puck line. I'm talking about losses. You look at the Avs. I know the Wild are a good team, but they have so many injuries. They were in Denver, tough place to play. They just got destroyed by that Avs team 2 weeks ago. Pull out
if that. Yeah.
And they shut down a very good offense, 3-1 win. The Blues, it took a shootout, but they went to Vegas. They beat the Golden Knights. The Kings, you just talked about them. Family play was the puck line. We trusted them so much, especially at home. The Penguins were struggling. Penguins cruised. The Penguins scored the first 3 goals of the game. Easy win, 5-1. The Jets, they went to Salt Lake City. They were down 4-0 midway through the third period. It was brutal. I know it ended up being 5-2. It was never really that close. They got absolutely embarrassed. And the Canes, I mean, you look at the shots, 48-25. Think, wow, they probably should have scored more goals. But at the same time, they were down 2-0 entering the second period. They were down again 3-2 in the third period, over halfway through the third period even. They squeaked out that 4-3 OT win, but they were facing the worst team in the league. So a lot of heavy favorites that just fell flat on their face last night. It'll be interesting to see if that carries over into today, especially since a few of those teams are playing again today, specifically the last one I just mentioned. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens today.
Well, and specifically last night, or I guess it was late afternoon, early evening, the Vegas Golden Knights losing to St. Louis, and that, which is one of the games that you referred to, St. Louis is up I just want to double check I got this right. They were up 3-1 and then 4-2. Vegas does come back, make it 4-4, get the point, go to overtime, end up losing. What's really interesting is I was writing a piece today for the Hockey Writers regarding the Dallas Stars and just how lackluster their season was. Turned it around post Christmas. They're not quite competing with the Jets, but they're right there for first place. I think they're 6 points back of first place in the division after the Jets had such a huge lead. Well, the Stars have Carolina tonight, and then 2 of the next 3 games after tonight are against Vegas. And I was just talking about how this is going to be a real, because the Dallas Stars lost 2 games to close out the week last week. And after they were on that point streak and a 7-game winning streak, those 2 losses showed some really familiar bad habits that we saw earlier in the year. And I was just writing about how these next 4 games, they have Carolina, Vegas twice, and St. Louis. Specifically, no disrespect to St. Louis, but specifically against Carolina and those 2 games against Vegas, that's going to be a real measuring stick for Dallas. But then I was thinking about it. Vegas, they're not really good right now. They're still, if you ask me right now, I still think Vegas is the team to beat in the West long term. I think Vegas has shown more playoff success. I know Dallas has gone to back-to-back conference finals, but Vegas has won recently. I know that Winnipeg's a very good team. They have, in my opinion, the best goalie in the world. But in the playoffs, Winnipeg can't get out of the first round, and they can't win more than 1 or 2 games. So right now, I still think Vegas is the team to beat. However, 4-5-1 in their last 10 games, and they're just losing to bad to average teams. They're not just losing to, the best teams in the league, aka the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's just call it what it is. But they're losing to Chicago. And again, St. Louis, they're a feisty team. I think they are a much better team than you think they are, Andre. That being said, they need to beat St. Louis, especially at home. So to me, I was just kind of looking at the next few games for the Dallas Stars and oh man, this Vegas is going to be a real, this is going to be a real test. But maybe they're catching Vegas at the right time, because Vegas right now, they're not looking so hot.
Really struggling for them, Yubun. Yeah. I mean, this happens to everybody. This happens to every team. At the same time, when you see those teams in front of you, when you're the get right team of the month, so to speak, you got to take advantage of that when you're facing those clubs. We've seen it with a bunch of Eastern Conference teams. I'm not gonna be all Debbie Downer today. You know what I was thinking though. We saw it with Western Conference teams. We saw it with the Kings last year. We saw it with the Oilers early last year, et cetera, et cetera. You got to take advantage of those games. Those, when teams are beating themselves, essentially, you got to take those 2 points.
Yes.
I mean, and it doesn't help that Dallas really has been beating themselves as well. It doesn't help that, Dallas, when you're looking at them, I believe that game is at home, I believe, for them.
The first game's at home. Yeah, first game's at home. Next week they're in Vegas.
Yeah, so I mean, the Stars at home need to especially handle this, because we know they've been on the road this year for the most part. So huge stretch for both of them. And yeah, those are 2 teams when I know the Western Conference, we like to say the playoffs are pretty much set for them. But out of the 7 teams that we know are making the Western Conference playoffs at this point, I'd assume that we both have the Stars and Golden Knights very high on the potential champions list. So getting that edge head-to-head, nice little measuring stick even when you're struggling. Huge game coming up for both of those struggling teams. It's going to be a fun one. Obviously, you get to cover it Stars beat writer, the one and only, the hockey writer. uh, but yeah, it's weird. That's part of why long seasons are so fun. You see struggles. You see what teams are made of at their lowest. You see what teams are at their best, and it the randomness of the playoffs sometimes doesn't justify that or celebrate it, but you get a strong identity. You get a strong sense of identity for all 32 teams.
Well, and it's been fun covering Dallas because as a Leaf guy, I just naturally gravitate to the Eastern Conference. And then we've had this conversation. I watch the West Coast at nighttime when my kid's in bed, and, I watch the West Coast, when it's on. But now that I have to watch Dallas whenever they're on and watching these teams, you kind of have these, these games circled where it's like, oh, I'm watching like Vegas twice and whatever. So it's going to be fun moving forward. Shout out to the Futon Bets. Let's get this cash tonight. Agreed. Let's get it. And with that, Futon Bets, let's just segue right into the picks, starting with your guys. The Ottawa Senators are in. Well, they're not your guys. The New York Rangers are your guys. And Ottawa is in New York, plus 106 on the money line. Let me just make sure I got this right here. Plus 105 now on the money line are the Ottawa Senators. Minus 126 now are the Rangers at home. Minus 1.5, plus 205 for New York. Plus 1.5, minus 260 for Ottawa. The over's 5.5 at minus 114, and the under is minus 106. What do you got, man? A lot of 5.5s these days. Would be interesting to dive into that at another point in time. But what do you got, bro? Ottawa Rangers in New York, Madison Square Garden. What do you got?
Yeah, the world's most famous. Don't forget it. I really it feels like the Rangers have committed themselves to the defensive low-scoring games for the most part recently. That's part of why they've kind of turned it around. I mean, they 3-2 against the Devils, and that was in overtime. 2-1 against Vegas, 3-2 against Colorado, 1-0 shootout game that ended 1-0 against Columbus. Those last three teams are all top 10 in scoring. They've really shored things up in the back end defensively. Still having their scoring struggles. I know the two of the past three were high scoring. They performed pretty well, but for the most part, still a lot of 2s and 3s in there when you're looking at the last 10. And then when they played Ottawa earlier in the year, 2-1 win, it was a very low scoring game. Very easily hit the under 6.5. Granted, Ottawa had 41 shots in that game. The Rangers only had 18. But you look at the net product, especially when Igor's playing like this, and it doesn't really matter. You look at the Senators. A lot of their games also have ended under the total lately. You look at the last 9, 8 of those finished under the total. I think only one of those finished with more than 5 goals, period. So I really like the under 5.5 here. Not sure. I mean, low-scoring games like this, the way these teams are playing right now, not really sure if I feel great picking a side either way. I kind of feel like this is going to be an OT game. So I'm going to stay away from a side here. I'm just going to stick with that under 5.5.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'm with you. It scares me a little bit because Ottawa can just randomly score like 5 goals by themselves randomly, no matter who they're playing. It's just a weird kind of thing that Ottawa does. That being said, listen, this is a weird moment for me where my head is telling me the Rangers are going to get the win tonight. My gut is telling me, I was going to say my heart. It's not quite that deep, but my gut is telling me Ottawa finds a way to squeak this out. I talked about this yesterday where Ottawa over the weekend, we have, well, I won't speak for both of us. I have this very weird love-hate relationship with the Sens over both those wins over the weekend. This will be 3 games in 4 nights, but both those wins over the weekend, that game against Boston That was Boston's game. Ottawa shouldn't have even gotten 1 point, let alone 2 points. They found a way to get it done. That game against the Devils, the final 40 minutes kind of balanced out, but that first period, 17-2 were the shots in favor of the Devils. That was all New Jersey for the first 20 minutes. Ottawa found a way on a back-to-back to grind it out and get the win. Just the way Ottawa's playing right now, they're just finding ways to win. And so for me, that's where I'm kind of leaning on this one. Ottawa plus 106, not to, put salt in the wound, but this kind of shows you the season the Rangers have had, because this time last year, even if Ottawa was playing the way that they're playing right now, if this was the last year's Rangers team, these odds would be completely different. They're not quite even money, but for Ottawa to be plus 106, this just kind of shows you the season that the Rangers have had, unfortunately. So I'm taking Ottawa plus 106, leaning that way, and I'm with you on the under. Again, a little nerve-wracking for the under just with how Ottawa has played or been randomly scoring at times. Moving on, Tampa Bay in Montreal. Tampa Bay minus 142, which is a tad bit surprising to me, to be honest, with the way Montreal's been playing lately, and especially Tampa Bay on a back-to-back. Montreal plus 118 at home, minus 1.5 for Tampa Bay's plus 172, plus 1.5 for Montreal's minus 215. The over 6.5 plus 100, and the under is minus 122. What do you got here, man? This seems a little bit odd to me. I'm not saying Montreal should be favored, but I feel like Tampa Bay shouldn't be minus 142. I know Vasilevsky's playing tonight, so I guess take that into consideration, I suppose.
No, yeah, I guess that is something that should be considered, but I'm right there with you. I think Montreal lately, I feel like they've been a more complete team, more consistent team, stacking points and winning games pretty much. It's the bottom line. And not the Lightning haven't been bad by any means, but they did lose to this Canadiens team December 29th, 5-2. Wasn't close, and that was at home. The Lightning are a considerably worse team when they travel, 10-11-2. Whereas, Montreal 12-8-3 at home, they tend to handle their business in Bell Center. It's they have energy again, energy that was missing the past couple of years. I like that plus 120. You have a plus 118. DraftKings has a plus 120, but I feel like they're just playing better. They didn't play yesterday. Tampa did. They're at home. Tampa's not. They won the recent matchup. It just feels like a Canadiens win to me.
Yeah, and I don't know how much this matters, but Montreal's been at home. Like they were at home against Dallas late in the week. They were at home against the Leafs on Saturday. They were at home against the Rangers on Sunday, I believe, right? That was in Montreal on Sunday. So they've been at home, and I don't know how much that matters, but they haven't been traveling. They're at home. Tampa Bay is coming from a back-to-back. I know back-to-back was Toronto, which isn't overly far. I think that matters, and I'm taking the plus money here. Montreal plus 118. As always, I will take Cole Caulfield plus 165 to get on the scoreboard tonight. Patrick Laine plus 200. I will say this. Patrick Laine, you can take him to score plus 200. And I just need to find this again. I had it up here. Oh, man. Maybe you can find it for me on DraftKings. Where is it? Oh, here. Power play point. 1+ power play point. Patrick Laine plus 270. So for him to score plus 200, this guy scores on the power play like multiple times a week, it feels like. And for him to get a point on the power play is plus 270, which I think is terrific value, considering a lot of this guy's goals since he joined this team has been on the power play. So to score is plus 200, but to get a power play point plus 270, I love that for Patrick Laine. Moving on. Speaking of weird odds, this one is interesting to me. Detroit plus 122 or on the road, rather, Alex Lyon is in net for Detroit, plus 116 now. So this was plus 122, and people are seeing what I'm seeing, and it's now plus 116. Philadelphia is minus 140, minus 1.5 for the Flyers, plus 176, plus 1.5 for the Red Wings is minus 220. The over 5.5, minus 140, and the under is plus 114. I will quickly shout out the Futon Bets. Which I must be doing something wrong because I searched this guy up on YouTube and all it got me was like the 5 best futons. So I need to look harder for this guy's YouTube page, or this woman's futon page or bets page. I really have no idea. Alex DeBrincat anytime goal. They shouted that out earlier in the show, and that is plus 210. So I'm here for it. Andre, what do you got, man? Detroit in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'm not as here for it for obvious reasons, but it might hit. You might do it. You might do the thing, you know. Looking at this game, I don't get it. I feel like again, this is a wrong line. I feel like Detroit should be favored here. Yeah, maybe not favored. This game is in Philadelphia. The Flyers have 1.5. So let me take that. Not favored. I think it should be closer to a pick. I mean, these are two teams that are just pretty mediocre, pretty even in the standings, pretty even in performance this year. Both riding hot streaks. I will say, though, the Red Wings, they had won 7 in a row, first time in over a decade. They only got held under 4 goals once in that stretch. They scored 3 in a win against the Senators. You know, Daddy had to put them in place. They played the Sharks, blah, 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 6-3 loss. Then they scored 5 goals against the defending champs. They lose the next 2 in a back-to-back. Tampa, Dallas, 2 playoff teams. They only scored 2 goals total between those games, 1 each. But they got 40 shots against the Lightning. They got 34 shots against the Stars. They were producing. They had 6 power play opportunities against the Lightning. They had 3 against the Stars. They doubled up both teams. The Lightning only had 3 power plays. The Stars had 1. Granted, 3 of those 4 opportunities cashed in. The PK is one of the worst ever. We've been over that yesterday. But the point being, their offense, they're generating shots. They're getting chances, generating offense. Defensively, I mean, they held the Stars to 25. They held the Lightning to 22. Those are 2 really good teams. I still think they're playing well. They just ran into better teams, and they just didn't get the luck and the bounces they were supposed to. Whereas you look at the Flyers, I know they're playing well. I'm not trying to take anything away from them. Last game was really weird. They finished with 18 shots. The Devils finished with 13. Game before that, they finished with 24. Game before that, they finished with 25. And especially when you look at the Islanders and the Jackets, you probably should get more shots on goal than that. They also went 0-4 in the power play against the worst PK of all time in the Islanders. Point being, I like the Red Wings here on the road. I'm going to take that plus money. I have plus 120 right now. And I'm just going to trust them to get back on track. They've been playing well, and I'm not letting a pair of blowout losses change that because the process was better than the results. And in hockey, that happens sometimes.
Well, and I will say, man, we talked about this yesterday. That loss to Dallas was not a 4-1 game, in my opinion. Like, it turned into a 4-1 game, but that game, like, Dallas got the quick 3 goals, and that it wasn't all Detroit, but Detroit put it on them for a good portion of that game. Just to follow up, the Futon Bets, not on Twitter yet, or not on YouTube yet, but on Twitter. And I'm on his page right now. Not only hockey bets, man. He's throwing out some basketball picks, this guy's got it, man. A little Raptors action. Scotty Barnes over 6.5 assists. Jakob Poeltl over 13.5 points. I love it, man. So once again, appreciate you watching. I'm on this one. Like, I'm with you. I am leaning Detroit here. This kind of feels like a stay away game for me, though, at the same time. Like, it just feels like I don't have either of these teams figured out. And I don't know the honest math on this, I'd have to look a bit deeper, which I don't really want to do, so I probably won't. But Detroit feels like the team where when I bet them, they lose, and when they lose, and when I don't bet them on them, they win. So I don't really know what I'm getting from Detroit right now, but all points by you well made, and I am leaning towards Detroit here. But it's probably a stay away game for me. Moving on to San Jose and Nashville, where I understand that San Jose is awful. I still don't think Nashville should be favored minus 410 against anybody, but who am I? Nashville minus 410 at home. Sharks plus 315 on the road, minus 1.5 for Nashville's minus 144, while the Sharks are plus 1.5 at plus 118. Over 6.5 plus 118. Under 6.5 is minus 144. I'll just get this out of the way real quickly, man. And I don't mean to, I know we're a gambling show and I'm not trying to shut it down, but I got nothing on this game, dude. Like, to me, Nashville shouldn't be favored minus 410 against anybody. You're giving me Sharks plus 1.5 at plus money. Like, to me, this is a Sharks plus 1.5. But these odds are so disastrous. I really can't tell you where to go here.
Do you trust the Sharks minus 1.5 or plus 1.5 after yesterday? And that's a genuine question. They were up 3-2 going into the third, gave up 4 straight.
I mean, listen, as bad as we very honest about this. We both hate the Bruins, and as bad as they've been, I would consider Boston better than Nashville. No, like, I know Boston's 3-5-2 in their last 10. Nashville's on a 3-game winning streak, but I don't know. That's what I mean. Like, to me, this just seems, I think I just dislike betting on Nashville. So I think that's
I do too.
That's where I'm coming from here.
It's rough. I will say, in their defense, they have a 10-game winning streak over San Jose. Looking at the scores for those games, only 2 of them were 1-goal games. 3-2 game in 2022 in the tank, a 1-0 game in April of 2022 that went to OT. Otherwise, pretty consistent blowouts. I know they haven't played yet this season, and this year's Predators aren't the Predators of years past. Minus 1.5 at minus 148 for this team. Not loving that at all, and I'm not pricing them up to minus 2.5 because I don't trust that one bit. But the Sharks did play yesterday. The Sharks have been awful lately. The Sharks are one of the worst, if not the worst team in the league. View it however you want. And they've been much worse on the road. Whereas the Predators, we give them a lot of crap, and they deserve it. But they're 11-8-3 at home. By NHL standards, that's a winning record. They just beat the Wild 6-2 at home. They beat Vegas 5-3 at home recently. They're playing better.
Yeah, they are.
Were in the latter stages 2024. I'll take that minus 1.5. I mean, it's minus 148, so I'm really not going to take it. It's not good enough odds for me. But if you're making me pick a side, I'm picking that minus 1.5. I'm definitely picking that over 5.5 though.
Yeah, that's probably
based on Nashville alone.
Yeah, I mean, you got it 5.5. I'm 6.5 at plus money. I'd be curious to know what that 6.5 is on, or 5.5 is on FanDuel. But I am right there with you on that one. That one I can get on board with you. But picking a side here, I got nothing. All right, moving on to Carolina plus 100 in Dallas, who are minus 120. Minus 1.5 for the Stars is plus 210. Plus 1.5 for the Hurricanes is minus 265. Over 5.5 is minus 120, and the under is minus 102. I'll just start this off straight up. This seems outrageous. What can I say? I like Dallas minus 1.5 here. Carolina played last night, a game that they honestly should have lost to Chicago, found a way to get the job done. I have said this on air many times. I do not trust the Dallas Stars -1.5 line very often. I don't. That being said, they are a significant, although I got to give them credit, as mediocre of a road team as they were, they've really turned it around on the road with that 5-game road trip going 4-1. But they are a significantly better home side. Significantly better. 16-5-1, if I have that correct, at home, while Carolina is just mediocre at best on the road. And this goaltending carousel, I mean, Freddie Anderson, he's back. I'm happy he's back. He got lit up last night. I don't trust the goaltending. Carolina played last night, didn't play well. I'm taking Dallas -1.5 at +210. I think that's way too high. And I'm going to jump all over it. The other one that I will jump on is Jason Robertson. This guy, after a very, very lackluster start to the season, he is on a tear. And I believe, again, if I got this right, 16 points in January alone, or 14 points in January alone. It's around there. I am taking him to get, let's just get this right here. Where is it? 2+ points for Jason Robertson, +300, and I'm all over it. And for him to get a goal tonight is +220. So I love me some Jason Robertson props, and I love the -1.5. What can I say, man? What do you got?
Kind of stole my thunder a bit. Not mad about it though. Not mad about it though.
Okay. I thought I was okay. I thought I was alone there.
No, I'll keep it brief. I'll be a little more conservative. I'll just take the money line here, but I will keep it brief. I didn't trust the Carolina Hurricanes on the road against the Chicago Blackhawks. There's no chance I trust them on the road against the Dallas Stars in the second half of back-to-back. Give me Dallas here.
Yeah, that's true. I love it. All right. Now, if that game is not the game of the night, because I do think that's probably one of the better contests of the night, Carolina and Dallas, absolutely. If that's not the game of the night, this is the game of the night. Washington in Edmonton. Joe, what a beauty this guy is. I love it. I love it. I don't know if Joe is going to be on. I'm actually hopping on to Gabe's show, Curious Sports Pulse. So if he's going to be there, then I'll see you soon, Joe. I don't know if you will be or not. I can't recall. But Washington, and since I'm jumping on that show, we got to plow through these games. Washington in Edmonton, absolutely, in my opinion, the game of the night. Washington +126 in Edmonton. Edmonton's -152. -1.5 is +164. +1.5 for Washington's -205. Over 5.5 is -128, and the under is +104. And to me, I really like Washington here. I think Logan Thompson's playing, if I'm correct on that. If Connor Hellebuck's not like the Vezina, which he is, but if he wasn't, it would be this guy. 2 losses in regulation all year long. Absolutely crushing it. Washington's getting offense from all over the place. They are currently the holders of the President's Trophy. And I'm taking Washington here. Edmonton, I know they don't have Connor McDavid, but they can win without Connor McDavid on a Tuesday in January. But that being said, Washington's the best team in the league right now statistically, and I'm all over it. Washington +126.
I just got to tell Joe real quick. You know, I keep my room colder than Mr. Freeze keeps his lair, so that's why I'm like this. Don't worry about what I do over here. Yeah, I'll keep it brief. I'll keep it quick. No McDavid. I kind of like the Capitals for that and for that alone. I mean, they've been a good enough team as is, riding a 4-game winning streak, 15 wins in 22 road games. Washington's, they're doing the thing this year. I like the Capitals on the road. I like the over.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Absolutely love it. Moving on to Florida. In Anaheim, the Panthers are minus 265 on the road. Plus 215 are the Ducks at home. Minus 1.5 for the Panthers is minus 102. Plus 1.5 for the Ducks is minus 120. Over 5.5 is minus 118. And under is minus 104. What do you got, bro? This is another one where off the top you're thinking Panthers, but maybe not that simple.
Is this the like longest distance for a home to home in NHL history? Because what is this? The Panthers.
Is this home and home?
This is a home and home. They played each other Saturday.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's a reason why it's on Tuesday, I guess. A couple days.
What kind of scheduling is this? This is the type of stuff that grinds me for the NHL. Not the time staggers. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
I don't know if I trust the Panthers to be motivated enough or care enough for this game. Honestly, they just beat them 3-0. They're in Anaheim. It's just. I don't know. It's a game for the Panthers. For the Ducks, might be a little bit of revenge on the mind. Might want to keep it tight in front of their home crowd. I will say most Ducks games this season have gone under the total, 29 to be exact, and they've had 4 pushes. So it's really looking safe when you take the under in Ducks games. I'm going to take that first and foremost, even at 5.5. But I guess I'll roll the dice on Ducks plus 1.5 because you never know with this Florida team. Sometimes they just take vacations.
Yeah, I mean, the Ducks are 3-5-2 in their last 10 games. We know what the Ducks are. Florida's a good team. They're going to be around. They're going to be, contending for a cup, but they haven't been. I was kind of earlier in the season, I was like, Florida, they're just waiting for the playoffs, Kansas City style. But Kansas City still won 15 games or 16 games or whatever it was. I don't really feel that way about Florida anymore. Something's bothering me about this team. They're 5-4-1 in their last 10 games. I'm taking Anaheim plus 1.5 here at home. As mediocre as the Ducks have been, I know they're 9-11-2 at home, but the Panthers, I don't know. I'm feeling Ducks plus 1.5 as well. Last game of the night, Buffalo in Vancouver. Plus 155 are the Sabres. Minus 188 are the Canucks at home. Minus 1.5 is plus 138. Plus 1.5 is minus 170. Over 5.5 is minus 128. Under plus 104. I know Buffalo played yesterday. I do not trust this Canucks team at home. So for me, this is a Buffalo on the money line or a stay away because I don't trust this Vancouver team at home.
Yeah, I'm burning my stay away on this one. I'm just going to be very blunt here. I don't trust Vancouver. I mean, I don't trust them at home this year, like you said, but I don't trust them here, there, anywhere. And I never trust the Sabres. So, I mean, I guess for this one, I'll say Bills money line. Let's go Josh Allen.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Right here. Bills beat the Chiefs. Let's go.
I love that. Absolutely love that. All right, moving on to our best bets of the night, brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Right now with our promo code Sports Addict, get 10% off whatever card you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store, including items that are on sale, up to 50% off sale items, which means up to 60% off with our promo code Sports Addict. FirstRoundCollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans. Andre, what do you got, bro? Best bet of the night.
Yeah, again, another night with a lot of 5.5s on the total. I think at least on DraftKings, the only game that's not 5.5 is Lightning Canadians. That being said, I'm going with an under. Senators, Rangers. I know you don't like it, but I really love it. So I'm going under 5.5 with my boys.
Hey man, you're a Rangers guy. I trust it. Yeah, you know what, man? For me, this is a bit of a riskier best bet, but you know what? I really believe it. Plus 126, Washington Capitals in Edmonton. We all know what Edmonton is. This isn't anything against Edmonton. Logan Thompson and the Washington Capitals are doing this year cannot be understated. I'm taking the Capitals plus 126 on the road.
Family play. I both like the Canadians. I know that for a fact.
Yep.
We both like the Stars. I know you like the puck line though.
You can take the money line. What do you want? Stars money line or Canadians money line? You pick.
Let's do Stars money line. Let's get one non-plus money play in here. You know,
love it.
Yeah.
Under in Ottawa Rangers, Capitals on the money line, Stars on the money line on FanDuel plus 705. What do you got?
I got plus 728.
Oh, man, you're cooking over there with DraftKings lately. I do have both. Maybe I got to make a FanDuel sponsor the show where I'm donating all my money to DraftKings. Absolutely. Well, my apologies to all of our Pucks Across Borders viewers. Appreciate all of you. I am going to be on Gabe's show at Curious Sports Paul, 6:00. So please check it out. We're talking some NFL football, I hope, because whatever else they're going to talk about, I'm not going to know anything. So I hope that's what we're talking about. Appreciate all of you. First Round Collectibles, promo code SportsAddict, 10% off. Appreciate them. Total Apex Sports. We appreciate them. Check them out. All their great content. TotalApexSports.com. We will be back tomorrow. Andre, I appreciate you, man. We'll be back tomorrow. See you then. We'll see everybody else then. See you next time.